your position in the market is probably third, fourth, or fifth. And this is the golden moment to change. When you are at the top, there is always arrogance. There is always that self-centered belief that you are second to none, you're unbeatable. But I think this is the time. So maybe in history, it is better to be number 3, 4, 5, so that you have got an objective to go to that number one with these two philosophies of change and collaboration. And that's what I would like to say. Collaboration and change, a very difficult process indeed. I just want to end with this one fantastic example. It's called the molting process. This is something which you would have heard and you would have seen as well. I thought I related it to Africa again because it's closer to you. For those who probably had been to Kilimanjaro, that's the place where you see a lot of mountain eagles. I'm sure maybe in Cape Town as well. The eagles shed, their average life is around 80 years. By age 40, their feathers become rough, they become very heavy, and they can't even fly. The molting process is when the eagles use their own beak to shed every single feather on their body. They absolutely pull it out. The body is full of blood, but they go into a molting process. And by then, what they try to do is they revive its entire feathers like a new coat. And then it strikes for the next 40 years. I do believe that Oracle is at that cusp of that 40 years. We have finished our first 40. It's time to shed all the old, bring in the new, and shed every single bad inhibitions you had, every single wrong sales practice you did, everything which you were not good about. Oracle is extremely good about its processes. We were very good about the way we used to manage our business, our ability, our 360-degree knowledge of our customers. We have to be like the white eagle or the mountain eagle to shed all the old, and this is the time to do it. Because if you don't do it, your spot will be taken by somebody else, and you will keep declining in the market. And that for me is exactly the cusp where Oracle is standing. By doing this, you will lead with only one thing. You will create an amazing impact to the customer and to your own self. And this impact is what we all are looking for in Oracle as a leadership team. So try and watch out for making this impact. And net, what is going to happen is what we see today at customer end. So this is exactly how Oracle behaves. You have an account team and you have the customer at the other end. And each one of you try and sing a small solo is what we do. As pre-sales, we sing a solo. As consulting, we sing a solo. Solution architect, tech group, apps, advisor. It is never customer at the fulcrum. It's never customers at the center of it all. We are great. It's like jazz music, We try to play our own solo self, but we never play it to a rhythm which makes difference or impact in the life of the customer. So this is what the new Oracle has to be. So I want to leave you with the question is, are you ready for this change? Are you ready for this change? Can you make this change happen? And this change means a lot of importance to each one of us in our working career. I think that is what I would share at this point of time. So that for me is my message. Try and work it out in smaller groups, and I'm happy to take any small questions or any large questions, whatever you have in the next few minutes or so. Back to you, Queen.
Thank you so much, Shiriam, and really that was very, very informative, very inspirational, and I would like to ask the colleagues if they've got any questions that they would like to ask Shiriam.
I have a question, Queen. It's Nero here.
Yes.
I think my opening to welcoming Chirian, I think, was spot on. Chirian will always share life lessons, and his contribution today is definitely we can each individually pick out what we can learn and adapt that into our lives. But Chirian, I have probably a very difficult question for you.
Sure.
And that is, we miss you on the southern tip of Africa and on the African continent. Is this going to remain temporary, or you coming back soon?
If you offer me a good job, Niral, I'll be happy to work for you. Just to give you
But just from my side, I've got to run on to another call. But from my side, Kieran, just a massive, massive thank you for taking the time. I don't want to close the session at all. I do want others to ask you questions because I'm sure you've created a lot of controversy in their minds and their thinking, especially between the old and the new, which is an incredible example. And I like how you conveyed the message. But just personally from you and from all the people that I've worked with you whilst you were here, we wish you and your team in the APAC region all the best for Q2 and the rest of the year, and personally to you and all your families. But from my side, awesome to see you again, and thank you for sharing the time, and we'll connect soon. I need to drop off, but thank you for that.
Thank you, Niral. Wish you a great Q2 as well.
Keep well.
Thank you, Niral. Colleagues, you have an opportunity to ask Shirian any question that you have.
And yes, please, Queen. Hi, Shirian.
Hi, Sandhya.
We all our world is preparing for the next normal. What is your business priority for the next 6 months, let's say?
So I would say I probably will wear the hat of Asia Pacific here, and maybe it is not completely true to the African continent, but I do believe, Sandhya, the rate of digitization in the new normal is unbelievable. And I can tell you, if it is happening in Southeast Asia, which probably is one of the fastest enablers of technology after North America. So anything which flies in North America first lands in Japan, Singapore, and then it traverses back to the other parts of the world. And I can tell you what is the change, what we are expecting in the world is rapid transformation happening within the industry. We are seeing extremely new combinations coming up. Look at, can you imagine Oracle partnering with Microsoft? Can you imagining Oracle partnering with VMware? Completely unusual combinations to come up as a new norm. The change is imminent. I can give you an example. I'm working on a very different alliance which I've never ever thought of. We have a taxi company called Grab in Singapore, which is your Uber equivalent. Uber went out of Singapore, they sold it to Grab. It's a car sharing app. Car sharing app is now collaborating with Singtel, which is equivalent to your MTN or Vodafone. That's the largest telecom. And so it is Grab, the service provider, Singtel, the telecom, and they are jointly creating the world's biggest bank in the world. So can you imagine a triangulation to become that is with Monetary Authority of Singapore, which is like your Reserve Bank or your central bank in South Africa. No commonality, but trying to create one of the biggest digital bank with no branches, but will soon have over 20 million subscribers. Now, this is completely out of the norm. So what I can say is that this is exactly going to happen in South Africa. It's going to happen in the African continent. Synergies which you never saw is going to be the norm. So you will find some normals which was so-called normal in the outside world, banking remaining banking, will no longer be there. It will not be like Stancy will or a Stanbank or Stanbic will have 100 branches. Sorry, it will not be there. It might be just 4 branches across the whole country, and many more such things. So many new revolutions going to be around the corner. Just this morning, I've read that whole of Europe is going to have no fuel-based cars by 2030. So they are talking about it. That's 10 years from today. No fuel-based or fossil-based vehicles on the road. So just imagine what is going to happen. There's a plethora of electric cars going to be on the road, which means if there are electric cars on the road, what happens to all the drivers who are employed as drivers? What happens to all the garages? Because there's no need for anything to repair. It's just a battery pack and that's it. What happens to the numerous amounts of petrol stations which have been fueling everywhere? How is money going to flow hands if everything is battery powered? So as a futurist, if you look, it exactly goes back to the example I gave you of the lotus pond. The digital transformation, what you see is actually boiling under the bridge. The water is truly boiling. The exponential changes are just coming. The change will be so rapid. So you might be finding, oh my God, Cherian just mentioned something like this, but till 2025, 26, nothing happened. Suddenly on the year 27, you will find such a big change that you will get completely caught off guard. And that digital transformation is the biggest transformation or opportunity which I do believe is just around the corner in every single area. Pick up any region, whether it's a bank, whether it's a telecom. Just imagine we are working right now on 5G with smart cities across Asia Pacific. How is smart cities enablement coming in? It will take a completely different angle with 5G. No latency, and imagine a small little gadget in every single place. The way of the normal will look completely different. So very long answer, Sandhya, but it is truly
Fascinating,
fascinating
fascinating food for thought. Thank you, Shireen. Thank you.
That was a good question, Sandhya. Any other questions? Imran, do you have a question? Shireen, any questions from your side?
No, Queen, nothing from my side.
Okay, great.
Queen?
Yes.
Hi, Victor here. Hi, Sharian. Good to see you again.
Hi, Victor. Pleasure to see you again.
Yeah. My question is, I don't know if it was asked before, but I mean, having worked in Africa for quite some time and now being in Asia, what would you say are the major, shall I call it differences that you are seeing in approaches? How, as Oracle, we are executing here and how it's happening at that side. And I'll tell you why I'm asking the question. Earlier on, we had a joint call with the pre-sales team of Saudi just to look at what they're doing, how they're doing it, and what can we learn from them. That's really the basis of my question.
Sure, Victor. So my answer is twofold on this, Victor. First one is, how are the customers different on the African continent versus on the Asian continent? So there's a completely different dimension of customer maturity. That's one way, which probably it will take time for our IT leaders in Africa to get engaged with. So that for sure is one form. But as Oracle, I do believe that there's nothing magnanimously different. I can tell you it is after having worked in probably 4 continents on the Oracle job. I don't feel anything different. For that matter, I do believe that some of the times I compared, and I feel that wow, my African team had one of the best skills. The pre-sales was as good as what I get in Africa is what I have in Asia. And let me tell you, some of the positives what you guys have, which the others don't have. African teams have shown ultimate passion on their job. Okay, I can tell you that. We leave our jobs at home. I sometimes say that we overlive our jobs. We take our jobs back home. Whereas I see many parts in Asia and sometimes at least in Singapore, the word called as quality of life, and at 5 o'clock people shutting down and not answering calls. This I never found. I could give a call to anybody on my African team when I managed for 7 years, and I could get a response. So there are very 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 much positives which the Team Africa has got. Now, what is the missing link? The missing link for me, I would only say, is exposure, nothing more. It is because your problems are less complex, because your customers want to live a simple life. The digital transformation, they want to keep it simple. And of course, there are some banks or maybe there are some governments who might want to complicate it and try to go with the Western world or maybe to the East. But I think it's only about exposure, Victor. So once you are your fundamentals are all there, and Saudi team is not doing anything different, I can tell you. It is the pull from the market which is creating that cloud business in Saudi, which probably a South Africa team might be struggling. And I can tell you, a Singapore team is struggling on cloud, but I can tell you that a Thailand team is booming on cloud, and it's pure market dynamics. Singapore is supposed to be very matured. Everybody knows IT. There are 10 data centers for all the competition. We don't even have a data center. So everything which is not there in Africa, the same problem is there in Singapore. In Thailand is the same. Yet customers are willing to go on public cloud. Their ability to take that public cloud and transform and put not only an IaaS or a PaaS or a SaaS, but they have even go on into the data layer. So they are trying to create data lakes, and they are trying to create cross integration among various vendors. So very, very market driven is what I would say, Victor. The learning of Oracle is almost the same in all the regions. You go through the same immersion which we went through. You went through the same drill which we went through. But I think it is that ultimate customer requirement or customers' journey to that cloud is probably different on the African continent.
Thank you.